What if I told you that the real reason you're still doing everything inside your business has nothing to do with your team and everything to do with your brain being wired for chaos, thinking it's safer than calm? I'm going to show you the exact mental pattern that keeps business owners stuck as the bottlenecks even after they hire great people. But here's the catch. At the end of this video, I'm going to walk you through a 60-second test that will tell you brutally whether you are ready to stop being the bottleneck or whether your nervous system is addicted to staying in the middle of the business. If we haven't met, my name is Dr. Shannon Irvin. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I'm the author of the best-selling book, The 67-Day Year, and I've helped hundreds of business owners scale to multiple millions while stepping out of the day-to-day. On a recent client advisory call, I had a client who had a full team, clean dashboards, and great revenue, but she was still jumping into every fire. She knew she was the constraint, but she didn't see how her brain was wired to secretly keep it that way. That's what we're going to unpack today. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your nervous system keeps pulling you back into the weeds, and you'll have a simple 60-second constraint test to pinpoint the one thing to fix first in your business. We're going to walk through 4 big shifts. Number 1, how your brain is on autopilot, quietly keeping you in the middle of everything in your business. Number 2, why you keep optimizing the wrong parts of your business. Number 3, a 60-second constraint test for your CEO, team, and profit systems. And finally, number 4, how to make working on one outcome feel safe instead of terrifying. You didn't wake up one day and decide, I want to be the constraint in the middle of my business. Your brain just wired it in that way when you were surviving the building phase of your business. When you're in the beginning stages of your business, you're the founder, you're the owner, you're doing everything. You're hiring, doing sales, doing ops, hiring. Everything is on your shoulders. Everything revolves around you, and it works until it stops working. When you're just getting started up to about $1 million or so, you're the center of your business's universe, or what we call the founder operating system. You're doing everything. You're hiring, you're doing sales, you're doing operations, you're driving the day-to-day. You're in everything. Here's the reality. Every time you jumped in, the business survived, and your brain labeled this as me being in the center of the business equals safety. Your brain labeled this as me and the business every single day doing everything is safe and profitable. You have a hardwired pattern to make you be in the day-to-day, be the one driving revenue, because no one can do it as well as I can. That isn't your fault. Your brain literally got wired that way when you built your business. And so now here you are scaling, trying to scale. You have a team, and they're begging you to get out of the day-to-day, and you just can't do it. You're the only one seeing what's wrong. Now at like $500,000 to $3 million, that old wiring is still running, even though the business needs something different. Now, I call this pattern the founder brain, when your safety system and your scaling goals are literally at a tug of war. And the truth is, being in every decision isn't leadership. It's your old safety wiring working on repeat. If you can't leave your business for 2 weeks and not check in, that is the sure telltale sign that your business is running on what we call the founder operating system, and your brain is wired to survive the business, not to scale the business. So if you're exhausted working in the business, driving revenue, doing all the results, and you're still not able to have your team run the day-to-day, you do not have an effort or a team problem. You have what we call a constraint problem. What I mean by a constraint problem is your brain is hardwired to optimize everything. It is not yet wired for what is necessary for scaling, which is constraint thinking. It's looking at the one area of the business that is the most red, and we'll talk about what that means, and optimizing just that one thing. For your brain as a business founder in the founder operating system, your brain is just hardwired to see everything because you had to. And that works. That's crazy because it works up to a certain point and then literally stops working. That optimize everything thinking literally takes your team and has them running in opposite directions of each other, taking the business to a standstill. One of our clients, we'll call her Betty, was optimizing for operations when marketing was the problem. So we sat down and we did what we call a triage with her. It's the step 1 of our Scaled CEO program. And after going through triage, we saw that marketing was the one constraint, specifically ads. And we saw that clearly and set up a triage plan for her to go after those specific constraints. But when we checked in with her, she was optimizing for operations instead of marketing. Now, why would that happen? Well, when she was stressed, when you're stressed, we reach for familiar tasks that we're good at instead of the one hard constraint, like the business owner obsessing over the new funnels or AI or different tactics, when the real constraint is no one on the team owns the setting the leads. So your impulse to fix everything, it's a stress response, not a strategy. So instead of trying to guess, we're going to run a quick constraint test together. This is a 60-second constraint test that will show you everything. In about a minute, you're going to see exactly where you're capping your own growth and freedom in 3 key scaling areas: CEO, team, and profit. All right, high level, I'm going to walk you through how to take the 60-second. So for each system, CEO and team and profit, you're going to rate from a 1 to a 10 with one simple question each. And what I want you to do is scale it 1 to 10 first thought, like 10 being perfect, 1 being failing, right? And so I want you to quickly say the number and don't change it, all right? So quick first impulse. Deal? All right, here we go. Question number 1, your CEO area. Can your business run for a week without you in the middle of everything? Meaning, if you leave for an entire 7 days and you do not check your Slack, your Asana, your text messages, or your emails, can the business run without you for 7 days? That's your CEO. Scale it 1 to 10. For the team, the question is, does every key metric have a clear owner besides you? Meaning revenue, leads, every piece of the puzzle. Is there an owner that is not you? So if your name is on half or more, that would be a 1. If your name is not on any, that would be a 10 in that team scaling system. And finally, question number 3 is, you ask yourself, do you have a simple CEO dashboard that tells you what is red, what is yellow, what is green? What is red, meaning it's broken, it's not hitting the key metrics. What is yellow, meaning it's fragile, it's close to turning red. And green, meaning it's doing well, it's hitting the metric. Do you have a simple dashboard that you can look at for 5 to 10 minutes and know exactly where the constraints are in your business? Those are the 3 simple questions of the 60-second quiz. All right, now pick the lowest score of those 3. That's your current constraint. That's the thing that you want to put all your energy on. And the reality is, if you're lowest in the CEO system, then we're really looking at that founder operating identity, your calendar, and your decisions. We call this a decision bottleneck. That means everything is still up in your head. People have to come to you for decisions, for your opinion. Your calendar is chasing problems, not constraints. And your identity is still tied back to that beginning founder versus the scaling CEO. If you're lowest in the team area, the team system, this is hiring, role clarity, and ownership. This is the choke point. What this means is you haven't actually, even though you have team and they may be amazing and they may be A players, you have not given them ownership of the key metrics that drive outcomes. And without them knowing the key metrics that drives outcomes, they will never take ownership. And that will always be the choking point in your business. And if the last one, or the scaled profit system, is the lowest, it's because there's no scoreboard that you're working off of. So everyone, including you, is flying blind on how to be successful. The reality is, you just did in 60 seconds what most founders avoid for 6, 12, 24 months. And if this is already revealing some things, after this video, register for the Self-Scaling Business Diagnostic. It's guided live with me. I'll give you deeper scores on these systems and an exact 90-day plan for solving that big constraint. Your business doesn't change when you see the constraint. It changes when your nervous system stops panicking about fixing everything at once, and when there's systems there to support it. So right now, to your brain, it thinks, if I don't touch everything, if I don't look at everything, something is going to break. And that keeps your nervous system triggered into fight or flight, looking for every detail, reading every email, watching every post, seeing every step that your team is doing, and giving like, hey, did you think about? Hey, what about? You get the idea. It's not that we're telling our team what to do. It's just that we're showing them everything that is wrong that they would eventually catch if they owned it outright through a numeric number. So if you don't touch everything, feeling like something will break, that's why focusing on one thing seems like a threat. Now, the overcome to this is to give your brain what we call a sandbox. We love doing this in what we call 90-day scaling cycles. One 90-day window, one critical number, and a weekly red, yellow, and green system dashboard to be working through. Okay, so the sandbox here is you want to work in a 90-day window. You want to pick one critical number, and we're going to look at that number weekly. Is it red? Is it yellow? Or is it green? How are we going to do that? We're going to just take one line item, one critical number, and we're going to see where is the ideal, how do we win? We're going to put an outcome key performance indicator with it. And then we're going to measure it weekly. And we're going to determine have we hit the target this week? If yes, then it's green. If we miss the target, that means it's fragile and it's yellow. And if it is beyond a short little yellow window, then it is red, which means we're not hitting the critical number. And that is the only thing we need to focus on. This is going to start to train your brain to see one thing and drive one thing from red to green. Now, the key to this is somebody else on your team owning this metric. For example, you might choose a team owns a weekly revenue number as the constraint and what's changed, right? So that might be the number you look at. And here's the thing, every urge to jump back into everything is a cue. Install the system so that one problem never has to come back to you again. This is going to change the game and allow you to really scale. You can't lead like a scaled CEO with that kind of bottleneck identity. Your brain will keep dragging you back to the old job description in the middle of every action and all revenue generation. So I want to take you through a quick exercise that's going to support you in starting to take on the identity of a scaled CEO, one that measures through metrics and owners and dashboards, not one who puts out the fires and makes all the decisions. So I want you to choose an adjective that you know would define you when you are operating like a scaled CEO. Maybe it's I'm a calm, decisive, strategic leader who lets systems and owners carry the weight. That is going to feel new to you, and it's important to define it in advance, or what we call DIA. It's literally building a neural network towards scale. So I really want you to hear this. You can't out strategy, out hustle, or out tactic a scaling CEO or scaled CEO. You have to decide it in advance and start to take on the identity of someone who runs their business this way. So you fill in the adjectives there, a calm, decisive, strategic leader, whatever it is that aligns with you, but it's really who lets systems and owners carry the weight. So when you say this out loud to yourself every single day, before you meet with a team, before team meetings, before big decisions, this starts to frame choices differently within your business. Your brain will start to notice when you're reverting back and start to pull you like a magnet toward what it is that you know will create scaled or becoming a scaled CEO. This enables your team to start really owning the day-to-day because you're not pulling it back into your hands. This seems like such a simple hack, but at the same time, you can't find me a 10 million, 20 million, or $30 million CEO that did not lead with who they needed to become so that they could run the business they wanted to have. So repeat this frame out loud to yourself every morning when you wake up, every time you're about to go into a meeting, every time you're about to look at work, and see how your brain starts noticing changes. You know, Tony Robbins kind of made this famous. If you've ever heard his thing, like, don't look at red, don't look at red, don't look at red, and all you see is red. It's because your brain, once you build a pathway or start that repetition game of a pathway, your brain starts to notice it. It's something called the reticular activating system that gets like woken up, and it's like a bodyguard. Then now it's paying attention to any time you're calm, consistent, strategic leader that works through owners and metrics, not putting out fires. So now your brain goes to work for you. Okay, here's a great example and one that I personally had to use. You get a Slack or an Asana ping. Are you going to let the owner handle it and check the dashboard later? Are you going to go in and just check it out and see if you can give them some advice? That's a perfect example of choosing the scaled CEO identity over the hustling, operating, grinding beginner business owner. So the Slack pings, and because you have owned that identity, you check the dashboard later and see how that plays out. You let the owners keep the ownership and you drive through the dashboard. It's the thing that shifts the game and why we build dashboards inside the Scaled CEO for those business owners that are doing around $500,000 to $5 million and trying to get to the next level. because most of us have been hardwired to be in the center of everything, driving revenue and day-to-day operations. And what ends up happening is we all of a sudden, we built the business for freedom and time with our family and legacy and all that. And we start to feel like the business is closing in on us, like it's a prison that's strangling us. And it's not because we don't have great people. And it's not because we didn't try to create SOPs and get them to run it. It's because we didn't hand the ownership over and drive from metrics and dashboards. And it's not something we naturally learn. It's not something that's comfortable, because what got us to $1 million in our business stops working to get to become a scaled CEO at 10 or 20 or 30. So this is the moment. You get the Slack ping, the Asana ping, and you let the owner handle it. And you look at the dashboard. And if the dashboard's green, nothing to think about. And you start building that nervous system that says green is safe, yellow and red, the owners come up with a solution for, and you mentor. Big difference, but a shift that allows you to scale. Okay, I want you to do a micro action. I want you to write your I am sentence and put it near your computer screen as you work on this quarter's constraint so that you see it and say it as often as possible. I want you to imagine 3 months from now, opening a simple red, yellow, and green dashboard while your team runs the plays you used to hold in your head and realizing you're no longer the bottleneck. Amazing, right? Well, that's the power of becoming a scaled CEO and getting your nervous system wired to allow it. Listen, your brain wired you in the middle as safe. That wiring pushes you to fix wrong things. The 60-second test showed you the real constraint. Focusing 1 quarter at a time rewires safety around systems, not heroics. So if this hit a nerve because you can see you're the constraint, just like I was, this is exactly what I built the self-scaling business diagnostic and the scaled CEO operating system for. So click to take a look at the diagnostic and book a scalability audit to map your next 90 days, what to delegate, what system to install, and how to truly scale without you in the center. And it's going to buy back 10 to 20 hours a week without slowing revenue. In fact, growing revenue at the same time. So I hope this has been an eye-opening transition for you to think about your business in this way. I love being able to share the science of scaling so that you become a scaled CEO. I can't wait to see you at the diagnostic. Until then, bye for now.